Like a long road trip to a far-off destination, there's been incremental but steady progress in the development of self-driving cars. In fact, some form of driver assistance technology, mostly focused on safety, is now inside most new vehicles. Right now, we're at level 2, with cars able to control steering, acceleration, and braking while still requiring drivers to remain engaged. Down the road, level 5 autonomy would mean fully driverless cars. But the transition into the future hasn't always been smooth. As the technology advances, drivers adjust, and the government tries to keep up. Brooke Silva Braga hit the road for an update.
Are we ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're ready.
If you haven't been in a new car for a couple years,
I'm going to push this steering button here.
All right.
a ride in a 2022 Honda Civic can be a trip.
So I no longer am doing anything with the pedals or anything with the steering wheel. It's doing all of the driving.
Yeah, in the right setting, the modest, standard issue Honda Civic can drive down the road itself, then smoothly brake behind a stopped car.
An elegant stop.
I've done nothing.
Researcher Kelly Funkhauser tests self-driving features for Consumer Reports.
All of these cars have the same technology.
We met at their Connecticut test track.
These ones here generally have radar, maybe sonar behind them. Here you can see it's a camera.
Those sensors have enabled some impressive features.
The new GMC Sierra with hands-free driving.
A growing number of vehicles that can control both their steering and speed are marketed with names like Super Cruise.
So I turn the turn signal on and it's looking
Okay.
and it is changing the lane.
Here we are.
By now, you've probably heard about Waymo's self-driving taxis and the fleets of autonomous tractor-trailer trucks coming down the road. And sitting in one of these new, ordinary cars, it can feel like the self-driving future is as close as that patch of grass over the hood of the car.
Okay, what if you just leave it on and we're about to hit a dead end? It's just going to drive into the trees?
Let's find out.
You're bold. You must know the answer. Oh! Oh! Woo! And into the grass we go!
Honda told us the system's not intended or capable of detecting the end of a road and is not marketed or considered a hands-free technology. It's the driver's responsibility to maintain control at all times.
Now this line is not marked very well, but it found it.
But Funkhauser worries these systems work so well, most of the time, many drivers won't be ready when the inevitable exception pops up.
Oh, it's not doing that well.
So it's, yep, and there it turned off. There's a tendency to find a stimulus because you're bored. Monitoring a system that is performing well is extremely boring. But the problem is the features aren't quite up to speed yet in their capabilities.
To illustrate what can happen if a driver fails to take control when they should, Funkhauser put this Cadillac Escalade into Super Cruise.
It's checking to see if my eyes are looking at the roadway.
It can skillfully navigate 200,000 miles of American highway,
Cadillac went and surveyed the roads.
Yes, they did.
but automatically disengages when it reaches merging lanes that aren't part of the map.
Okay, here we go.
Oh wait, why is it redding us?
So
Oh,
because this lane is going to end. So now it's actually...
oh my goodness, we're stopping in the middle of the highway.
Take control of the vehicle now.
Wait, oh my goodness.
Let it do that. 'Cause These
Okay.
cars are there. Okay. all right.
Yikes. Wow.
So that's
Boy,
what
driving with you is adventure.
For all automakers, the promise of self-driving is both convenience and safety, but neither have fully arrived quite yet.
Is the person driving or is the person not driving? Because if they're driving, then this stuff seems pointless. And if they're not driving, then you can't ask them to drive at a moment's notice.
Exactly, right? And that's what they're saying is they're giving you the little legalese warning, take over because we don't want responsibility. You must pay attention, even though it's boring and we know that you're a human being and that you're not going to. But we don't want responsibility because we know that our system's not perfect. That's where we are.
We're heading for Chicago. Please route us through.
We'd been promised so much more.
You're now under automatic control.
In the 1950s, GM imagined self-driving cars by the 70s.
Mind if I smoke a cigar?
In 2018, they promised them within a year.
Our goal is to deploy these vehicles in 2019, so you'll have the option to not drive.
Elon Musk said a Tesla would self-drive across the country by 2017. It still hasn't. Instead, the company faces federal investigations and lawsuits over some alleged instances of failure of its autopilot system. And remember, those Waymo taxis use high-end sensors far too costly for mass production vehicles. Even those autonomous big rigs still come equipped with human safety drivers.
So what happened?
A lot of people are finding out that developing for all of the chaos of the roadway is a lot harder than anyone ever thought.
Last year, Elon Musk conceded he didn't expect self-driving to be so hard.
It just turned on the turn signal. It's going to take us left here to follow this route.
Then he launched an audacious plan to solve it.
We have the green light, it sees it.
Putting a full self-drive system on real roads and using carefully screened Tesla owners like Eritana.Rabaere to chaperone the cars as they worked on their driving.
This guy kind of went for it, so then it stopped. Okay, and there it goes.
The system does much more than the Civic or Escalade.
Come to a complete stop here?
Yeah.
Just barely, that's a proper stop.
And the idea is all these test miles will teach Tesla's system in ways only the real world can.
Can you really trust all these college kids not to jaywalk? No, here they come. They had the don't walk, they didn't listen.
Nope.
Well, you didn't really go. You were like, I'm stopping. So now they're running across.
Oh, don't go now, kid. Now's not the time.
We made it.
Tesla didn't respond to our request for comment, but has described these beta tests as a safe way to make their software better.
And I think it's going to get us in the right lane now.
Some critics argue it's a potential menace to anyone on the roads.
You feel it's ready
For
to do this, to make this turn off the exit, to drive around town. Safe for you, safe for everyone else.
under supervision of somebody who knows how to use the software, I'd say, yeah, oops, sorry.
At that very moment, we missed the guardrail by maybe a foot.
We came close.
Times like that are why Consumer Reports wants automakers to only enable these features for drivers who agree to compromise their privacy and be actively tracked, as Tesla and GMC drivers, to an extent, already are. Otherwise, Funkhauser doesn't trust drivers to actively watch these imperfect systems, which could need watching much longer than we'd hoped.
I don't think you can order a car, pick you up from your house, take you to work until probably 2050.
2050.
50.
50.
That's what I said.
50.
50. So we're, what, just under 30 years away from that still.
Funkhauser says the biggest thing that would help self-driving cars is if they could communicate with each other and objects around them. But that also may not happen anytime soon. In the last days of the Trump administration, the FCC took away most of the radio spectrum that the cars were planning to use. Unless that changes, experts, including Funkhauser, told us it will be much more difficult for cars to communicate.
Brooke, first of all, thank you for putting your life on the line.
I know, right?
For this piece. I mean, it can get a little scary when you're there and you turn it over to the system or don't, right? And
you know, you sit in that Tesla and it feels like a miracle. The thing really does drive itself. You're like, the future is here. And then in a moment, you're like, wait a minute, this isn't working at all.
Because there are people and things that even the cars can't prepare for. And that feels like the problem. They either all have to be self-driving or none.
I have a suggestion. If folks don't want to drive, it's called Uber, Lyft, bus, train. How about that?
It's an idea.
there are options. Yeah.
Thanks, Brooke. We appreciate it.